Hello and welcome to the JW Thoughts channel. My name is Wally, this is my co-host ZZ, and we are going to be taking down the Watchtower once again. Yes, the convention crusade continues. We load our catapults with that logic bombs and we are blasting the Watchtower every day here on the JW Thoughts channel. So thank you so much for joining me, fellow crusaders. Now we are going to be witnessing what is one of the best moments in any Jehovah's Witness production, and that is when Stephen Lett gives a talk. I'm very excited. I hope you're excited. Let's get into this. ZZ got that toy already, and he's walking away with it in his mouth. I thought that would be here for like most of the video, but we made it 53 seconds. Oh no, this is the second take. Well, anyway, with all of that being said, don't forget to drop a like on this video. It helps it get out to more people on YouTube. Yes, I know you're annoyed every time you hear me say like the video, but it does help get the message out there. I put a lot of hard work into these videos, so if it reaches more people, that's very cool. Helps wake people up. Anyway, let's do the thing. I got some coffee too. I slept for a full 5 hours, which is a lot for me, so I feel good. I feel pumped. I hope you're pumped. Let's get hype. Okay, for real, let's do the intro.
How do many people react when they see corruption and injustice? They become incensed, and they want to fix the problem. How do they try to fix the problem? By becoming involved in political efforts or social movements that claim to fight corruption and injustice.
I like how we're opening up this talk with Stephen Lett just punching us right in the face with his Masonic ring. What do people do when they see injustice? They want to fight. They want to join a political group that they perceive to fight the problem. Oh, this guy's such a clown. I do have to say, though, I am very sad because in order to do like funny backgrounds and things, he can't be wearing the same color as the background, and I don't feel like framing out everything. So I guess if we add in any swirly head things, it'll look really goofy this time. But aren't we off to a real good start here?
In contrast, why do Jehovah's Witnesses not get involved in political efforts or social movements? The simple answer, because they've learned from God's Word that the problems of this world cannot be corrected. Ecclesiastes 1:15 says, "What is crooked cannot be made straight."
Like magic, it begins to melt, bending before our eyes.
Stephen Lett, I would like you to take a moment to reflect and really think about the things that come off of your rather elastic-looking face. Imagine if someone looked at the multitude of problems we have in the world and they did as you said. Well, looks like it can't be fixed. I mean, the scripture in the Bible says what's crooked can't be straightened. Imagine if someone broke their leg and they're just like, sorry, bud, nothing we can do for you. And they never actually worked at finding a solution to the problem. Imagine smallpox. Someone just said, well, looks like we're just going to have to continue to let people die. What is going on in your stupid idiot brain that makes you think that problems can't be solved when you have demonstrable evidence that this is the hallmark of our entire species? We solve problems. Are we the strongest things on the planet? No. Are we the fastest things on the planet? No. Are we the most coordinated things on the planet? No. But what are we really good at? What are we bipedal homunculi? What have we evolved to do so well? Solve problems. So Mr. Lett, I'm going to tell you once, and I done told you once, I ain't going to tell you twice. Well, I am going to tell him twice. Shut up.
Satan's world around us is like the trunk of a tree that has grown so crooked, twisted, gnarled, crooked, twisted, crooked, twisted, crooked, gnarled, crooked, it cannot be made straight. Crooked, twisted, crooked, twisted, crooked, gnarled, twisted, crooked, gnarled. it cannot be made straight.
If you guys think that ZZ's in the camera a lot, this is where he is like 50% of the time. He just sits right in front of me, stares out the window, does this. He's really irritating, but he is a good co-host, and he does his job very well.
Jehovah's Witnesses have learned it would be futile to spend our time and energy trying to correct what Jehovah tells us cannot be corrected. Additionally, Jehovah's Witnesses have learned how and where real peace can be found even now. In this regard, let's consider two modern-day examples of ones who came to acquire Jehovah's thinking on this matter.
Let's talk about EXJW, Nahukbria, and Fratha Brun.
It's pretty interesting when he brings up what Jehovah taught Jehovah's Witnesses and the futility of trying to fix problems, how he doesn't have a scriptural reference for this one. They're always pulling these magical scriptures out of something, but whenever he says Jehovah tells us, he doesn't have a scripture to back that one now, does he? Because most of the time, whenever he's playing this little game where it's governing body thoughts, they become Jehovah's thoughts, he doesn't have scriptural backing. And I don't know, I mean, I haven't really put a whole lot of thought into how he would back this up scripturally. I'm sure there is some way to do it, but I doubt there's going to be a precedent in the Bible to sit on your butt, not live your life, not try and actively participate in making the world a better place. I'm not sure if that can really be found in the Bible. So if he's just looking at the overarching message of, well, God's going to fix everything, therefore I can be lazy, well, then that's your interpretation of the Bible, not what Jehovah taught you.
Now first, EXJW. Born in a remote part of East Timor, he experienced horrible guerrilla warfare during his childhood. Many of his neighbors disappeared or were killed, and he feared he would be next. But some years later, he moved to the capital city and entered a university where he met many other youths with backgrounds similar to his. He became part of a student group that was trying to achieve social change through political action.
Oh man, what an awful thing that this person wanted to get involved in doing anything political whatsoever. The governing body, Jehovah's Witnesses, would never get involved with anything like that. On Tuesday, March 21st, 2017, the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses invited the Worldwide Brotherhood to write letters of appeal to governmental authorities at the highest level who are threatening to ban our activities throughout the Russian Federation. I think we all remember this letter campaign, and it shows people from all across the entire world all writing ostensibly millions of letters. They show pictures from Austria, Bolivia, Bosnia, Denmark, Ecuador, Germany, Ghana, Guatemala, Indonesia, Japan, Nepal, Romania, Rwanda, Slovakia, Spain, on and on and on and on. Yes, whenever Watchtower assets are in trouble, whenever it's like, oh no, we might lose some of our kingdom hall, some of our real estate property, now's the time when we can try and do something political. We can try and appeal to the political authorities. Oh no, 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 don't ban our activity. We don't want to lose all of those sweet assets that we've been building up over the decades.
Many political demonstrations were organized, but most ended up in riots, with many of his friends injured. Some were even killed. But then, through a relative who was studying with Jehovah's Witnesses, EXJW started to study. Now here's what he said as he started this study. As I studied the Bible, I began to feel that I had never really known love. Despite my rough appearance and disposition, the witnesses treated me with fellow feeling and brotherly affection. Well, soon he was baptized, became a regular pioneer, and he was so happy because now he knew he was truly helping people. He ended his life story with these words. In the past, I felt angry, unloved, and unlovable. But thanks to Jehovah, at last, I have found true love and peace.
So this comes from an Awake article from 2007, this experience that he's reading. And a few details just that I found to be a little bit of interest or note here is that this person grew up and they had an identical twin, but their parents couldn't afford to feed both of them. So they sent him to go live with one of his cousins, I believe. And this was during the 70s when Indonesia had invaded East Timor. So it was just absolute hell for this person. When he's describing his story, he says he just was sleeping on a dirt floor. They were fleeing, trying to get away from guerrilla soldiers. One time they found their hideout and they were just raining bombs down on them. He barely escaped with his life. Then he was like moving from his grandmother to his cousin, and his family members were dying or becoming severely depressed. He eventually joined a guerrilla war group, and then eventually he went to the capital and started, his education and going to college. And that's when he became involved with these different political activists. But I think it is noteworthy here because this person had gone through nothing but suffering, just absolute hell at every turn in his life. And then he was a Roman Catholic at the time, so he went to church on a Sunday after having had some contact with a distant cousin that was studying with Jehovah's Witnesses. And when he went to his church, him and the group he was with showed up late. And apparently, according to his story, the priest that was presiding over the mass there got a piece of wood and chased them out of the church because he was so angry that they showed up late. And then he recalls after that experience, then he wanted to start studying with witnesses. So it's just, I wanted to give the whole context of this person's story because it really demonstrates how someone comes to be a Jehovah's Witness. They have to be at this ridiculously low point in their life where everything is going wrong. And then someone comes along and is like, oh, the Bible, and then the love bombing starts. Oh, all I've known is suffering. All I've known is betrayal. All I've known is violence and deteriorating families and friendships. And now there's a group of people that just want to hug me and give me a smooch on the cheek. And that's the real reason people join the religion. Anyway, just wanted to add a little bit of context to Mr. Lett's story.
The identity of the great prostitute, Babylon the Great, mentioned in Revelation chapter 17 and 18. He learned that this prostitute is the world empire of false religion. Then he was really amazed when he was shown Revelation 18:24, which says, in her, the prostitute, was found the blood of all those who have been slaughtered on the earth. So he learned that the world's religions could never be a force for international peace because they take sides, they're divided, and they go to war.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Now, I cut out most of this experience that he's telling here because it's just kind of the same thing, but I just found it odd that someone came into the truth because of an explanation of these verses from the Revelation book. I can't imagine there are that many people. This person must be in a pretty unique position to read the Revelation book with all of its absurdity and all of its delegating or designating these types and antitypes to every tiny little minuscule detail in a book that is supposed to be apocryphal. Like, it's not meant to be, it's meant to be seen, as these symbols, but these symbols can just mean anything they want when you start interpreting them and just leave out all historical context. You leave yourself very bamboozled and you come up with something kind of like the Revelation book, which just doesn't make any sense. And frankly, I think the Watchtower is even kind of embarrassed by the Revelation book in their more modern publications. I remember when they kind of went back on some of the things when I was still a Jehovah's Witness, and they were like, yeah, we're going to study the Revelation book one more time. But there was like this printout that you had to get to go with your Revelation book because there were so many changes. Every single paragraph, they were making all of these various different adjustments to it. And eventually it was like, yeah, let's not really pay attention to the Revelation book anymore because it's a heaping pile of poo. So I don't really know. I just thought it was kind of funny that he is pretending in his mind that there are people that are going to be so compelled by what's in this antiquated book that they would want to join a cult.
But now we ask, what are lessons we can learn from Eshedio and Phraatha? Well, many, but here are 3 big ones. Number 1, we can never correct the corruption and injustice of this world by means of political efforts or social movements.
Write that down, write that down!
That reminds me of the illustration a brother used about trying to get rid of a problem with spider webs, but being unable to get rid of the spider. You knock the webs down. Spider builds them right back. Knock them down, builds them back. You never get rid of the problem. Well, in this illustration, Satan is the spider. And since he's the source of corruption and injustice, as long as he exists, the problem will exist. And little puny humans can't get rid of Satan. He's superhuman.
We are just being inundated with all of these high control group tactics. The problem is too big for you to handle. You couldn't find the solution there on your own. So why don't you just sit tight, hang on, listen to me, and eventually the problem will be resolved because of the wisdom I'm imparting, the path that I'm telling you to go on. He's trying to scare people. Well, I mean, Satan's the real problem. I mean, what are you puny little human going to be able to do? He's a superhero. He's a supernatural being. What do you think you're going to be able to do, bozo? He's like, well, yeah, that's true. I don't think I could take on a superhuman being. Well, I guess I'll just do nothing then.
Now, here's our second lesson. We must remember that political activism often leads to violence, which is the opposite of peace. We pursue peace, don't we? Not conduct that often leads to violence. Our third lesson, unlike the religions of this world, we must promote peace with all people, which definitely means we refuse to get involved in any way in the wars of Satan's world.
Oh, yes, we must maintain peace with all people, except for apostates. I mean, honestly, when we say maintain peace with all people, we genuinely mean it. But apostates aren't people. People that leave the Watchtower organization are less than human. Yeah, the message is quite clear, buddy.
So during discussions in the ministry, or anywhere for that matter, remain strictly neutral on political topics. Take no position regarding what laws should be enacted, repealed, or changed. And don't pressure others to agree with your view. But to succeed in this, we must be careful not to allow the media of this world to manipulate our thinking. News broadcasts are often presented in a biased, opinionated way. So we've got to be careful not to adopt the bias of a commentator. Only if we keep our thinking neutral, will we be able to keep our speech and actions neutral also. And remember, your good example of showing love in Christian neutrality may attract honest-hearted ones to the truth.
Oh yes, you want to be on the lookout for this corrupted news media that is trying to manipulate your brain with their particular biases. Yeah, be careful of them and their biases that are trying to manipulate you, but don't worry about me and my biases and how I'm trying to manipulate you. It's so fork-tongued, It just gives me the heebie-jeebies for real. And this whole concept of, well, don't even form political opinions. Don't think whatsoever. Just try and do some thought blocking. And if you do have an opinion, don't share it. If you've gone down the horrible step of forming your own opinion about something, make sure you keep that bad boy to yourself. Lock that in the vault and never touch alcohol, because we know that is the key to the vault. It's so crazy how they want Jehovah's Witnesses to be. At the end of this convention, I'm left with all of these rules and all of these crazy notions of just living a passive life. Someone commits fraud or slander or tells you something political or asks for your opinion on any subject whatsoever. They just need to be like, we just need to keep the love and peace in the congregation. Well, how do you feel about X? Well, we're just trying to keep the peace in the congregation. Well, aren't you bothered that so-and-so said something about you? We're just trying to keep the peace in the congregation. Like, it's so odd. And for him to be wrapping up this whole symposium and spanking it on the bottom, it's always worse when it's coming from a governing body member, isn't it? We can always attribute a lot of the other talks and things to the governing body, because at the end of the day, they are at the top of the organization. But when it's coming directly from their faces, it just gives me the absolute creeps. And I think Jehovah's Witnesses, at least the vision that Watchtower has for Jehovah's Witnesses, is to just neuralize themselves, just come in with the old Men in Black pen and just wipe their brain clean of any ambition, any thought, any opinion, and have it be completely filled with pursue peace, maintain loyalty. And that's it.
Yes, during this symposium, we've learned many valuable lessons as to how we can sow peace. Let's all be determined to do so with all our heart. And what will be the final result? For the answer, let's watch the final dramatization of this symposium.
There's one more story to tell. I didn't know it at the time, but seeds of truth were being planted in my heart. You were all so different. I couldn't understand it. You were prisoners, yes, but you felt free.
Oh boy, does that have some undertones to it, and won't it resonate, or at least they want it to resonate with Jehovah's Witnesses. Yes, you might seem like a prisoner because you are a member of Watchtower. You might feel like a prisoner because of all of these stupid restrictions and rules and how we control every aspect of your life. But you feel free, don't you? Yeah, you feel free. Right? Right?
You're mocking me, aren't you?
Oh, no.
You were prisoners, yes, but you felt free. Truly free. After you were released, it became clear to me that you have God's blessing. And I wanted to know why. Phil helped me find the answer. And you will know the truth, and the truth will set you free. Phil encouraged me to make the truth my own, though I had real trouble at first. With all the turmoil going on at the time, the idea of being peaceable and waiting on God's kingdom, it was hard to grasp. But with Jehovah's help and the patience of these good people, I was baptized before the start of the Great Tribulation.
Whew, my God, that was a close one. Good thing I was only minutes away, maybe just days or weeks from getting killed by God. Oh, man, I'm sure glad I accepted the truth right there at the very end. And you know what? Because of this fictitious story, you should maintain your zeal for the preaching work. Because you never know, your good example might just be the thing that can save someone right before the outbreak of the Great Tribulation. Why were they in prison? I guess we don't really know. Maybe it was part of the Great Tribulation. Maybe it's coming in phases or something to that effect. I don't really know. But it does feel good to be back. Back once again in a basement with a lot of aluminum shelves and a oddly placed light, or I guess the decor seems a little bit off, but maybe it's kind of a hodgepodge, a mishmash, if you will, of different items. What is with this idea that the world is going to be chaos and everything around them, and what's his name? Josh looks out the window. Oh, man. I don't know, guys. So it's looking real scary out there. And they're all sitting there praying, raising their hands to comment on the latest Watchtower, I guess. Maybe we're still getting new Watchtowers coming down from the organization. Some real good stuff to look into here. But hey, at least Jehovah's Witnesses will feel inclined to build some safety bunkers for themselves, so that way when it comes time to hunker down with your congregation or with your service group, you can all sit and be surrounded by some aluminum shelves.
Joseph, during our time in prison, the story of your life, your time in prison, and how Jehovah was always with you became a real source of strength for us. I remember one day, Carl said, what did you say?
I said, one day we'll have a meal with Joseph, and we'll say, thank you.
Oh, man. Thank you, Watchtower. First of all, we have to just acknowledge the zoom-ins on everyone's faces because this was brought to you by Gillette, the best a man can get. Why does everyone have the smoothest, cleanest shave ever? No mustaches to be found here. They're really going all in. I think maybe as part of your entrance into paradise is you go through this machine that just like blasts all the hair. They should show people without eyebrows. You know, that if they don't want facial hair, I think they should just remove the eyebrows as well. And that way they just all have the little side swoop, the nice good jaw. And even our man Joseph has returned from the dead, and they're just all sitting around with someone that's been resurrected after being dead for so long. Oh my God. That's so funny that they don't even show him like all natural, like with his whole robe and staff, you know, eating, trying to chase a goat around or something. Oh my God, they are just full delusion now. This is fantastic. Well, let's see what old Joe has to say about his experience of being dead for a couple thousand years.
And here we are.
Really, it's I who should thank you. Each and every one of your stories touches my heart. You know a lot about my life, but would it be all right if I shared a few more stories?
Please, we have so many questions.
Can you tell us about Egypt?
What was Pharaoh really like?
Dreams. We gotta talk about those dreams.
You do have many questions, and I have many details to share. And thanks to our God Jehovah, we have all the time we need.
I must say Joseph has a peculiar felicity for the English language. Not even a hint of an accent, or hardly a hint of an accent at all. Oh my Lord, if this is what paradise is, sitting around. Hey, you know those stories that I've been told ever since I was a child and have been beaten into my brain over and over and over again? Tell me more about those for the rest of all of eternity. Oh man, I interpreted a dream. I had no idea what the hell was going on. What was the Pharaoh like? He was a guy. Cool. Like, paradise just seems so unimaginably boring. Unless you're going and like exploring space and other planets and other, cracking the code to the universe and opening up other dimensions and portals. Paradise seems just properly boring to be at. But hey, Jehovah's Witnesses are sure looking forward to having a dinner party with our old Joseph buddy here.
Thank you, brothers, for those practical talks. May we all remember these useful examples and sow peace now so that we can reap peace eternally.
Thus ends one more symposium for this year's convention, and what a hoot and a holler it turned out to be. We got to get another glimpse of paradise. The paradise seems just keep on going. Zizi, what? Zizi's here. He's pretty excited about this symposium being over as well. If I decide to include a little bit more than just this talk, then I guess there's that. And if not, then thank you for joining me for another episode of the Convention Crusade. I will see you tomorrow as we tackle part 2 of the morning session of the Sunday 2022 District Convention Regional Witness Jehovah of Things. Bye. Comment down below. I just peeked ahead at what part 2 of the Sunday morning session is, and it is just the public talk. Now, the public talk, from my experience as a Jehovah's Witness, and since leaving, that is the most boring section. Well, I guess the Watchtower study and that, maybe you could have a bit of a battle there. But yeah, comment down below if you want me to cover that, or if you just are like, it's the public talk, whatever, not a big deal. So whatever the majority is, we will let the majority absolutely rule. So yeah, comment down below, and maybe I'll see you tomorrow. Maybe I won't. We'll see.